This presentation is about Libyan Suitcase Museum, an idea for sustainable project, presented by Abedelhafed, Faraj and Elmsalaty, specialized in museology and a member of the Libyan National Suitcase Museum project. An overview of the project. The launch of this project was in the Advanced Training Workshop. The second session, the protection of cultural heritage resources using the concept of temporary museums, and the planning work for the project, the Mobile Museum, the Libyan Caravan, from April 10th to April 14th, which was in Tunisia and was supervised by Oberlin College, directed by Professor Susan Keane and Coach Paul Ursula. This project was implemented and supported by the American Society of Overseas Research, ASOR, in a collaborative agreement with the U.S. Department of State's Ambassadors Fund. This is an important question, which the project was based upon. Why do we need the Suitcase Museum in Libya? There are many reasons that include the lack of security system, low level of cultural heritage awareness, local unrest. Museums are closed due to the current circumstances. Let's get to the geographical distribution of the suitcases. Approximately 21 suitcases were distributed in most of the Libyan cities. They were given to volunteers interested in the cultural heritage and also to Boy Scouts and guides, under the observation of Scout leader Talal Baryoun, who was in charge of the Suitcase Museum. This project was called the Libyan National Project for the Suitcase Museum. We tried to choose the case study to show all of the work done by the project, and so the case study was set to be in Benghazi. Now, let's get into the definition or the concept of the Suitcase Museum. It's a suitcase with special features, a bag that contains some pieces from the different sections as well as explanation boards, booklets, worksheets, and instructions for teachers on how to use it. It also contains explanation panels, colored slides for the exhibits, videos, some brochures, and models reproduced from the Libyan cultural heritage for the benefit of young people, school and university students, and all segments of society. It's an interactive learning museum system with small samples to showcase. Now we have project approach plan. We've tried our best to set a strategy for this project to be more effective, and we've found that the vision is to realize the importance of preserving cultural heritage, and the message is to spread the culture of preserving cultural heritage and how to benefit of it. And we have had many goals that include access to all children, eliminating people's hatred of museums, developing children's talents, transforming the student from a passive recipient into an active learner and seeker of knowledge, spreading visual culture in society, protection of cultural heritage. The mechanism of our work, starting with educational institutions, from kindergartens to universities, also the security authorities, the tourism police, the border and customs authorities, and training researchers in the antiquities department on how to register and document museum collections, the participation of local organizations in heritage programs. Kindergarten is a category that requires special treatment and special tools in the interactive program of the Suitcase Museum, in cooperation with the Faculty of Education at the University of Benghazi. We found and learned how to deal with kindergarten students. We've worked with many educational inspectors whom they gave us the information on how to deal with the young kids, and a lot of these kids have liked the programs and really wanted to interact with the Suitcase Museum. These are some other activities: restoring the cloned pieces as well as drawing them, and the drawing of this dinosaur that was part of the suitcase, and the making of a mosaic. We've explained to the children what it was and took them to see a real one. They've really enjoyed their presence in the archaeological site and how they got to be actively participating, especially with the items that we have in our suitcase. When it comes to schools, we've used a specific strategy, that is, visiting schools, introducing the Suitcase Museum, presenting the search for heritage, the idea of excavation, motivating the students to visit the archaeological sites and to take care of them, giving the students a complete programs on how to deal with the museum collections, including recording, documentation, and restoration with pieces reproduced from the original ones, presenting puzzles and drawings, as well as old folk songs and popular games. The outcomes of our work with schools. These students appealed to the authorities to establish a museum for the city of Benghazi. These appeals were the results of students realizing the value of the museum and the importance of the programs that offer learning about their cultural heritage. So they were all calling for the establishment of a museum in Benghazi that carries attractive programs and eliminate the hate people have towards museum. Talent discovery program. Some activities like drawing on the walls. This was a motivational program for students. We can see that the Suitcase Museum has taken on other strategic dimension, which is its presence in some schools as a part of the school curriculum. Indeed, we took this project to private schools as a sample, and we actually found that there's a demand from the private schools to include the Suitcase Museum within the class schedule as an activity program. An agreement was reached with one of the schools to include it within the class schedule, as well as giving them a very special program to introduce the tangible and intangible heritage to them, and how to make use of the Suitcase Museum with all its existing programs of excavation, registration, and others. As a result of the Suitcase Museum being part of the school schedule, students also participated in the end of year celebrations. A lot of schools usually would have a celebration at the end of the school year, a celebration of the cultural heritage. The students in the Suitcase Museum had a wonderful experience in participating in these exhibitions and festivals. They participated in one of the festivals, which is a festival held by University of Benghazi, the Department of Archeology, the celebration of the 50th anniversary of the department. They've actively participated and introduced the Suitcase Museum to others. The program includes visiting archaeological sites, participating in excavations for school students, and promoting archaeological work. We can see some field trips to archaeological sites, also participating in excavations, which is very important, especially for senior high school students, to encourage them to get into this field, study, and eventually work on protecting our cultural heritage. Training researchers in the Antiquities Department on how to register and document museum collections. And that's by giving lectures about the Suitcase Museum and its role in the protection of cultural heritage, and training researchers on registering and documenting museum holdings and how to organize and preserve them in museums. It also had a big role in universities, where we have contacted the heads of archaeology departments in these universities. Then scientific programs were presented, which included the definition of museology and post-excavation work. Also, the registration and documentation of museum collections and how to preserve them, like in the University of Benghazi and the University of Tokra, where the Suitcase Museum was among their courses to teach them and train the students on museology and post-excavation work. Indeed, many departments welcomed us. Security authorities. As a result of the success of the Suitcase Museum and its awareness programs in preserving cultural heritage, it had a partnership with the Tourism Police and the Costumes Police, giving lectures on the importance of cultural heritage and motivating them to preserve it. Also, the distribution of an illustrated guide to identifying the Libyan archaeological artifacts, prepared by ASOR and the Libyan's partners, with the support of the US Embassy in Libya. This is another program, the criminal bag or security suitcase. The Suitcase Museum had a great role in its activation through presenting lectures and training the police members on how to work with the security suitcase. Another participation is the participations of the local organizations and associations in heritage programs. The participation of Ruh al Jamal organization. It's based in Benghazi. It specializes in training and empowering the young children on how to work on cultural programs through arts, like drawing, sculpting, and writing. And so we've conducted a mosaic crafting workshop. As a result, an exhibition was done to showcase the work of the kids in this workshop. This is a video showing the work of the children at the time. Project promotion. The project was well received by the community, and especially by the media outlets. We've had several interviews with Libyan news agency, Radio Benghazi, Benghazi local radio, Al-Masar TV channel, also several certificates of appreciation from University of Benghazi and from the Libyan Institute for Advanced Studies in cooperation with the University of Benghazi Archeological Studies Department. And with this project going on for a period of time, so we've decided to make a SWOT analysis to find out the strengths, the desire of the most educational institutions to create programs for students, the curiosity of students to practice archaeological work, the weaknesses, there were no local support, opportunities, many cultural heritage programs in the city, threats, the local community lacking awareness of the importance of the cultural heritage. And now we have the results, which we've tried to get as many of them as possible. 1. Obtaining the objectives of the Suitcase Museum in a direct communication with educational institutions at all levels, the security authorities, and participating in the development of the security cadre. 2. Communication to persuade the decision makers in Benghazi to include an educational material related to the Suitcase Museum. 3. Participating in the events and celebrations related to cultural heritage with local community organizations. And we've also prepared several recommendations. 1. Enhancing the awareness of the cultural heritage protection through programs including documentaries for children. 2. Providing special capabilities and including them in the Suitcase Museum to deal with disability issues, visually impaired people, and people with special needs. 3. Communicating with state institutions to activate the role of the Suitcase Museum. 4. Providing courses for history teachers in schools to support the community awareness. 5. Equipping showrooms with modern technologies and programs, audio and visual, related to cultural heritage to enhance and emphasize awareness programs. Peace be upon you.